Welcome to another Words for Life discussion. This is part 2 of the season finale, the actual last episode of this season. This is the episode where Martine Erica Bermingham, the new creative arts director for Pine Forge Academy. I just love saying that. She's the new creative arts director for Pine Forge Academy. Anyway, she continues to uncover parts of my testimony, including my first marriage, the accident that changed the trajectory of my life. Thank you again for subscribing, for liking, commenting on this episode, also for all the support throughout the year, for the continued support in the future. Although this is the end of this season, I'm extremely excited about season 2, Words for Leaders. So that's going to start Tuesday, September 7th. So we're going to take the rest of August off, prepare a couple of things for September 7th. But without further ado, here's the second half of my discussion with Martine Erica Bermingham.
So we're moving into
Yes.
a different segment.
Uh-huh.
Still on your parents a little bit, because when we're children, we don't realize that our parents have their own relationship, right?
Uh-huh.
It's all about us. You know, mom and dad, you're here for me. But they had their own relationship way before the kids and
Right.
apart from the kids.
Yes.
The parents were married, yes?
Yes.
What did your parents teach you about marriage from their marriage? Or did you ever, because you and I talk about, we do connect,
Uh-huh.
although some people compartmentalize, and I get it. For
Uh-huh.
coping mechanisms, it makes sense.
Mhm.
But you and I both agree that we connect.
Yes.
What did they teach you about marriage?
They taught me, and my dad, and I guess I knew this when I was younger, but I didn't realize it. My dad was a PK. He was a pastor's kid.
Whoa.
Yeah, which is like, oh man, this even makes even more sense. So he was a pastor's kid, and my mother she was always sold out for the church. Always. So it was always biblical values. It wasn't even like, whatever we're going through, don't do that. It was just like, it was biblical values. So even, and I know we'll probably get into this somewhere later on, but even my first marriage, my
We're gonna
dad,
get to it right now.
my dad was the one that was just like, hey, look, Terence, the shacking up stuff is not good. It's better to marry than to burn.
Right.
And I was just like, yeah, Dad, I don't know. He was like, it's better to marry than to burn. Do you want to burn? And I was just like, okay, Dad, could you, and funny enough, I never took the posture of, come on, look at all the stuff you did. This and that. Like, that never even crossed my mind. It's not that it crossed my mind and I didn't want to say it. It was just like, it never crossed my mind because God was instilled so strongly. It's just like, whatever you're going through is what you're going through. I've got to make it to heaven. I'm sorry, sidebar again. I feel like we're talking a lot, but it's all good.
Okay, it's okay.
My mom one time I shouldn't say scared, put the fear of God in, I think it was me and my brother at the time. I don't know how she dealt with my sister, but me and my brother, I remember again, one of these talks, and she said, I just want to let you know something. I want to let you know that I pray for y'all all the time. And I'm like, yeah, Ma, yeah, cool. All parents do. She's like, no, I pray that you make it to heaven. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And it seems like he's getting a little more serious. And she was like, no. I told God, by any means necessary, get them to heaven. I don't care if you got to cripple them, if you got to blind them. I'm like, oh, hey, Ma, all right, easy, okay. So that's always that foundation was like, I don't care what you got to do to my children. Can you get them to heaven? That's my request. And so somewhere in the back of my head is always like, yeah, me getting to heaven, that's on me. Like, I got to do right. It doesn't matter what's going on around me.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
I don't even know if I answered your question.
No, but you did, because no matter what, first of all, every marriage is unique. But you do take away, because that's part of the trauma too.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes you don't realize that you either do what your parents modeled or
Mhm.
you move so far away from it. But either way, you have to, God makes it so that you deal with it
Mhm.
first with Him, and then there is therapy. So you mentioned there is a first marriage. Now, you know, you're married to my sister in Christ. I love Veronica, but
Yes.
there was a first marriage. Did you feel that you had to marry because you were shacked up, or was it a first love situation, infatuation? Walk us through this marriage situation.
So the marriage situation, very interesting. So here it is. I think I was still a nerd. I was on the tail end, the last ages of being a nerd. And
Position, you're a star.
yeah, it didn't matter. I had glasses that were just too huge. And my mother and father couldn't afford the thinnest lenses. Right now, I have the thinnest lenses and they're thick. Just think the thickest lenses there could possibly be is like if
Like
you
a Urkel type of situation.
Urkel, Martin, that other character he would play,
Wow.
it was
Wow.
like that. And that's what I was walking around high school with. So the fact that I could play drums, it's like, okay, Tarence is cool, but we don't necessarily want to hang with him.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, because it was just like, all right, you belong with the nerds, but he's cool, but he's still nerd. And so the thing was, so here was the switch. Contact lenses. Oh
Right.
my.
Did you wear the color ones?
No, I didn't get the no, I couldn't.
That was
My vision was too
big.
bad. No, that would have been too much. But anyway,
Didn't stop a lot of people, but okay.
I know. But I got the contact lenses, and it was just, and people didn't know how to act. They're like, that's still that nerdy guy, but he looks so much different now. And so I remember there was a cheerleader. She was one of the cheerleaders, and I was the nerdy dude right before I got the contacts. And it was just like, okay, I want to talk to her, and I'm gonna go for it.
Those are relationship goals, as they say now.
Yes, I have my relationship goals.
Absolutely.
Needless to say, it went nowhere.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely nowhere. And I remember getting the contacts, but still, it was like she was so far out of my league till it was just like, and I said a prayer. I said, God, if you get me that one,
Oh, wow.
I won't ask you for nothing else. And I said it and just chalked it up as nothing. Went away to college, came back from college. I got a new car. I got a whole lot of confidence, and got my contacts. And who do I see on the side of the road?
A cheerleader.
But her. I saw the cheerleader. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And she's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm good. And at that point in time, it wasn't like, oh man, I want her. It was just like, yo, let's be cool. Because at this time I hit my, I'll say it, my womanizing stage. So it was kid in the candy store. I got contacts. I'm in college. I got a new car. I'm with a group of guys. Yeah, it was just like, let's just rock. Let's live life. Everything is great. And so I'm like, hey, what's up? How you doing? And we start talking. And I'm like, yo, you got any friends? That's like, because you must be involved with somebody. You got any friends? And she was like, yeah, I got this friend. And so that's where it was. It was strictly that. And we never could find this friend. I mean, she existed because I saw pictures, but every time we wanted to meet up, the friend was not around or whatever. People say, she probably did that on purpose. I think we were really looking for the friend, but in the time we became good friends, you say no.
That was all game, baby. It was smooth. He was like, oh, you not the same Tarence from high school. You improved.
And so, yeah, it was, so we were hanging out. And we became good friends, like really good friends. And it was like, yo, this is pretty cool. And it was a really good friendship. But my motto was like, why would I get married? Like I'm in I'm enjoying life. She's a great friend, friends with benefit. Like whatever. This is life. And then my dad's like, hey, that ain't the lifestyle. And I'm like, yeah, dad, whatever. And I will say that I didn't think I was cocky. I was confident. And it was on the verge of cocky. I'll say that.
Okay.
And so I
would. Very thin line.
Yeah. It was a very thin line, and I was dancing on it. And she was with somebody else. She was engaged to be married. And I was just like, yo, when you gonna leave, dude? And she was like, stop playing around. I leave him. You ain't gonna be around. You're gonna go somewhere else. And I'm like, nah, yo, girl, I got you. Like that. And so she knew. She was just like, yeah, whatever. And I do this all the time because I knew her answer was gonna be like, stop playing around. And then I could say, hey, I offered. You said no, And one day she looked me dead in my eye and was like, so if I leave him, you gonna marry me? And I was like, and I knew, like, uh-oh. And I'm like, yeah, because I love to play chicken. I love playing chicken. And I'm like, yeah, I'll marry you. And she was like, Terence, if I leave him, you gonna marry me? And I'm like, yup, you got my word. I'm thinking she gonna get cold feet. That month later, she was like, I did it. And I was like, okay. Well, then we gotta do this. And it wasn't like, oh man, I'm caught.
You weren't nervous at all? You just like,
Yeah, because number one, I gave my word. Number two, we were really good friends.
Okay.
And my thought process was, so we get a piece of paper saying that we're already like, everybody knew. They saw her.
And number three, she was the girl in high school that you always wanted.
It's true.
Yes.
Yes.
This is your opportunity.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I was just like, okay, bet. Now, here's the part that is reminiscent to my mother. Not the same way, but I knew God needs to be in it. So I asked God, I'm like, hey, God, I know it is, but I'm just asking, is this the woman I should marry? And everybody, if you go to church, everybody's church has the crazy lady. The lady that's always talking. She's that lady's just like, oh no, nah. Hi. How you doing, sister so-and-so? And she's like, yeah, because God is all over my life. And this is like, okay, all right. And so I had asked God if I should marry her. And this lady came around and was just like, hey, so who's your girlfriend? Not she was there. She wasn't there, but she was asking me, you got a girlfriend? I'm like, yeah. You gonna marry her? And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about marrying her. Is she saved? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't ask her. Like, it's not the first thing. And she's like, if she ain't saved, you shouldn't marry her. You shouldn't marry her. And I'm just like, okay, sister so-and-so. Okay. Because it's the crazy lady in church. It's the church crazy lady. But there was something in the back of my head, like, this might be. And so I went to my mom. I'm like, hey, mom, since the crazy lady said, if your girlfriend ain't saved, and she's like, you know her. She's a crazy lady. And I'm like, that's what I thought. We got married. And I got to say, I went into the marriage like, yo, we're going to make this work because I'm going to make it work. And I can't say I didn't love her. I did love her.
Okay.
I did love her. I didn't go, I'm just going to marry my friend. I loved her. Like we did things together. We were a team, but I wasn't ready.
Okay.
And I messed up royally. I just, me and my buddy, we owned a house out of college, all legit. Like I was tech guy and he was working for energy company. So we brought in decent money and we bought a house together. So she moved in the house.
With you and your buddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
because he did what he did on his side of the house, and I did what I did. But before that, it was a bachelor pad. It was like it was Party City all the way through. And she knew it, but it was just like, hey, she knows everybody. The whole crew knows her. They know we're together, this and that. And so it was like, yo. And so for the first year, it was just like, yo, me and her against the world. And then later on, they like, all right, yo, we out, we going to the club. And I'm like, word? Y'all going to the club? Like, y'all ain't even invite me. Yo, dude, you married now. Like, you not coming to the club. And I'm like, what club y'all going to? We going over here, but yo, dude, you chill. And I'm like, okay. But I wanted to go just to hang. Like, what's up?
I mean, you still were living the life of a bachelor in your mind.
I was still 20.
You were a baby. Oh my goodness.
I was 24, maybe 25. Yeah. It was just like, and so went out a couple times. Then it was just like, yo, why did I give up this life? And
so did you really see this marriage lasting? You were just like, I mean, because you did say that you gave her your word that you were going to marry her and that you felt that you were going to make it work. But at the same time, you didn't know what you were getting yourself into.
I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I was going to make it work. And so I did see the marriage lasting long. I did. In my head, we were going to be married forever. We were going to have kids and all that.
Some way.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna make it work. Without counseling, without us both going to church, like, because I wasn't going to church at this point in time. I knew about God, but after college, I come back, I play drums in church, I play the drums, and then I leave.
Right.
There's a sermon going on, and when the sermon's done, I'm gonna play again. Right. They're gonna give me a check, and then I'm gonna leave. And so that was church. She didn't come. It was like, hey, I'll see you when I get home. You don't need to come. So God wasn't an integral part of life at that point. And if God is not in the marriage, it's just vulnerable. It's very, very vulnerable. Also, I will say this. If you're married to somebody and there's a single man living in the same house, that is not a good recipe for success at all. Even though he respected, our space and whatever, he was my best buddy at the time. It just, not a good recipe at all.
But you knew at some point you wanted to marry because even after the divorce,
yes,
clearly you married and you've been married for over 2 decades.
25 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to say what has made it work. What's making it work? Because you're still in this marriage.
God made it work. God set it up. God is making it work.
And you were obedient.
And I was, listen, God had to get my attention.
Oh, yeah.
In a major way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I could ask you what's the most traumatic. But my thing is you already went through the abuse, the embarrassment, the shame, and then also having to mourn your father's loss. There was pain in the divorce because you didn't want to hurt. Nobody really, unless you're straight up evil, set out to hurt people, but hurt people.
Yes.
And you were bold enough to marry again. And by the grace of God, it's working.
Yes.
Is there anything, maybe not more traumatic, but did you experience more trauma in your adult life?
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't classify it as trauma, but it was a life-altering experience.
Okay.
It shifted the path of my entire life. So I get divorced, and
deal with the pain of that.
I dealt with the pain. And honestly, I didn't feel any pain because it was just like, hey, I want to get out. And unfortunately, I hurt her. I hurt her bad. I hurt her bad. And I knew I was wrong, but my mentality was, and this is the way me and my boys got down at the time. It was like, you never admit wrong. You catch the other person doing wrong. So I did so much wrong that I pushed her away.
Right.
And then she made some choices. And I'm like, see, you're the wrong person. You're wrong. So I went out the marriage because of you. And which is doubly wrong. And let me just put a pin here and say, about a year ago, I woke up one morning and God was like, you need to call your ex-wife and apologize. And I'm like, it's been over 25 years. He's like, you need to apologize and let her know that you were wrong. And I'm at the point now where it's just like, okay, God, that's pretty uncomfortable, but I'm down. Let's do it. And I did it. I made the call. And at first it caught her by surprise.
Your wife knew about the phone call.
Yes, my
Okay.
yes, my wife knew about the phone call.
Union. Okay.
Yes, she knew about the phone call. She knew that I needed to make the phone call. And I called her and said, I just want you to know that I know I was in the wrong. I know I'm the one that pushed you away. I know I'm the guy that was wrong and made you, paved the way for you to go where you went. And after she got over the shock of it all, of me calling, she was just like, yeah, and you painted me like I was the bad guy. And I said, I'm sorry, and then I felt the hurt, the remorse. And then she said, you know what hurt the most? Your mother thought I was that type of person.
Oh.
And I was just like, oh, man. And she said, did you ever tell your mother that it was really you that did it? And I'm like, I had to have told my mom. Yeah, I mean, all the conversations my mom had, mom and I. And then I went to my mother and she was like, nah, you never told me that. And I was like, oh, yeah, that was just me acting the fool. And then I had to call her back and go, I told my mom and this. And she's like, tell your mom I said hi. Like, tell your sister and your brother I said, how they doing? Like, and I was just like, man, I really. Now she's married for 26 years.
Amen.
Got a couple of children. She's happily married. Like she's good, but it was and that was the thing. That's how I padded my life. Like me and her still good. Like I can call and go, hey, what's going on? She's like, hey, what's going on? And we never talk about all the ugly stuff. And we could go to the same barbecue, be like, hey, what's up? Hey, we had a friend that passed away, a mutual friend, and the guy that lived in the house.
Oh, wow.
He passed away. We both saw each other. I saw her husband, my wife was there and we said, hey, we did the pleasantries and nobody's got ill will towards anybody. And that was the thing that I go, but nobody hates Tarence. Everybody loves Tarence. I might've did some bad things, but everybody in the end, they love Tarence. But I really hurt. I messed up that part of her life. And she was like, I really loved you. And I'm like, I loved you too. I was in a bad spot. Like I was immature. I jacked it up. So I don't know why I went down that path. I think
it's important for people to hear how God restores.
Yes.
Restoration doesn't always mean we come back together. You
Right.
divorce your spouse. She divorced her. Man.
No.
Because restoration has to do with we're both headed to heaven.
Yeah.
And so the I'm sorry, I forgive you is necessary. That is beautiful.
Yes.
I wish on my situation, but it's not about me, but amen.
But it can be in the future.
I mean, listen, amen. That is closure at its finest.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's why God is opening doors for you. You're obedient.
Oh my
Even
God.
when it's uncomfortable. You use the word uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's not comfortable. This Christian walk isn't.
Yeah. And
So
that's why I went there. Yes, I made peace with that. I made peace with her. But that's why I went into that. What allowed me to now be this obedient, be this person now that's looking to hear from God and follow him everywhere was a major accident in my life. Accident. So here I was, being who I was. I think I was dating who I'm currently married to. And, I was being me, back to being me, playing drums here, doing this here, one foot in the church, one foot in the world and whatever. And I'm driving down this Y street And this car, this van, dollar van, makes a 3-point turn right in front of me. But I consider myself a very good driver. And I was moving at a pretty good clip. So I pumped the brakes a little bit, weaved out of his way. When I weaved around him, around the back of him, because he did a 3-point turn right in front of me, I weave around the back of him, and I see a man standing on the double yellow line. And so it was just like, oh man. So I got to turn right back around. So here I am. I came from my lane, went into oncoming traffic lane. So I crossed the double yellow line to get past this car. I just want to paint the picture.
Right.
And I see this man standing on the double yellow line.
Okay.
So now my thing is I'm going to turn back, get back into my lane. And as long as he stands there, he's going to be fine. Because I can.
So you didn't honk or anything?
No. I can control my car. And I'm moving at a good clip. I'm just going to weave around him. He sees me and runs to get out the way.
Ooh.
He runs to the way that I'm turning. I still don't honk. So I pump the brake a little bit more and go to turn the other way. He saw that I was going this way, stopped and ran the other way. I hit him. He died.
Oh, mercy.
He was a Caucasian college professor. I was a young Black man. Giuliani was the mayor of New York at the time. And it was when the dollar vans were high. So if he caught anybody with a suspended license, you go straight to jail. It just so happens that my license was suspended from tickets that I didn't know about. So I get there, the cops get there, and the first cop on the scene was like, "Son, what happened?" I'm like, he was on the double yellow line. Like I'm nervous. And I will say that, well, I was nervous, and the cop was good. He was just like, "Don't worry, it was an accident, this and that." And he went to go check out the person, and he came back. He was like, "It doesn't look like they're gonna make it."
Oh my God.
But it was an accident, this and that. And long story short, he came back and was like, "I'm gonna have to put cuffs on you and put you in jail because your license came back suspended." And I'm like, "It's not suspended." He was like, "It is." He was like, "But
So it wasn't, because he did say it was an accident.
It was an accident.
A death did come from that, but what really got you in handcuffs was the suspended license?
Suspended license. After I'm in handcuffs and I go to jail, then everything starts to pile on. He's a college professor. He's a Caucasian white man. He's 66 years old. He's got a family. He's got students that love him. They're petitioning for a light on this street now. And here's a Black man speeding down the road with a suspended license, and Mayor Giuliani made an example. So, and I remember I'm in jail, and another cop, not the good cop, because there's good cops and there's bad cops, just like there's good people and bad people.
Absolutely.
Not against cops. Another guy cop comes and says, Tarence Farrell, because people were getting called for bail. And I'm like, yeah. He said, "How does it feel to kill a man?"
Oh my God.
And I was just like, oh man.
Oh God.
And then he walked away. So he didn't want me at all. He just wanted to stick it to me. And then everybody in the cell is like, "Yo, you kill somebody, yo?" And it's just like, I'm in a suit. I'm in a tie and a suit. I think I was coming from a drum rehearsal or something like that from some church. And it was just like, oh man. Then they were going to sue me for $3 million. I ain't got $3 million. $3 million.
$3 million.
Yeah, I mean, everything started coming on me.
So you were going to do some serious jail time and they were suing you, or?
Yeah, the court, the appointed court officer came to me and was like, "Okay, so you want to go for 20 years or 30 years? And I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. Like, my name's Tarence. Do you want to hear my side of the story? He was just like, "Look, dude, this looks really bad." And it was like, oh my gosh, this is not And I remember my grandparents bailed me out, and the attorney or the court person said, listen, he's not a flight risk, this and that. Look at everybody that came to support him. I didn't know, but there was churches upon church members that came, and I went to turn around and don't turn your head. And it's just like, what? I'm scared. I got bailed out. And I remember some girl that I think wanted to talk to me at the time took me to a church service because, church service was the way to get to me. I'm godly. And so I think I had my ex-wife was there. Another ex-girlfriend was there. It's like all the girls were there. It was a mess. But I remember at the back of the church, because I went, I'm just trying. And at the back of the church, I said, you know what, God, I'm done. I'm finished. I'm finished running my life. Whatever you want to do, you do it. You say it, I'll do it. I'm done. I tried. I'm finished.
That's when you surrendered.
That's when I surrendered. That's when I said, I'm done living my life. Now, I gotta stick this other part in here real quick. Before this, prior to all of this, prior to me getting married to my first wife, feels weird to say that. Prior to me getting married to my first wife, I remember another conversation with my mother. I'm in the kitchen of her house. I'm 22, 23 before I got married. And I'm like, yo, Ma, I got everything. Like, I got it. I got a brand new car. I got a good job. I got a house. Like, yo, there ain't nothing I ain't got. Like, I'm the man. And she was like, okay, easy, Terence. I'm like, no. But seriously, what else is there? What, I get a wife and then what? I'm good. Like, I did it. Like, I'm the man. I actually I used to do Amway, right? I used to sell Amway, and they had a watch that you can get, and you can inscribe your name on the watch, inside the face.
Okay.
And so I asked the person, I said, I can get anything inscribed in here? It's like, yeah, most people get their name. I said, here's what I want. I want the inscription to say, you the man.
Oh.
UDA man, you the man. So every time I look at it, it would say you the man.
All right, that's not confidence. That's cockiness right there. Like that.
It was a little, okay. And so I had to watch like that. Right. You the man. I wouldn't tell anybody I'm the man. I would just look at it and remind myself I was the man. This accident, I was just like, I'm done. I'm finished trying to be the man. I didn't say I'm finished, but I'm like, no more decision. I don't care. Whatever you say, I'll do it. I don't care. And that changed the whole trajectory of my life.
Wow.
Changed the whole trajectory.
So, and then so God
came through. Yes, but let me tell you how he came through with the accident. $3 million I'm getting sued for, and jail time. At the time I was dating Veronica, my current wife, for people that don't know. And she is like, okay, we're going to get the best lawyer. And my mother's like, why would you pay so much for a lawyer? Yeah. But it was just like, all right, whatever. And the lawyer threw out everything. I'll make this real short. They came back and said they got to throw it out because the cops collected the evidence wrong. I was like, okay, God, I'm yours.
Let's be clear. That was after you said, I'm done. It's
done.
Wow.
Whatever. Yeah. You get me out of this, I'm done. Whatever.
And a lot of us say that when we go through that moment, he gets us out, but we're not done.
But now here's the thing. My dad always told me the only thing you have in this life is your word.
Yeah.
The only thing. With my first wife, I told her I would marry her.
So you did.
So I did. And it wasn't because I don't like you, but I said it. No, I love it. But it was just like, if I said it, I'm going to do it. If I can't, then that means I absolutely can't. But if I say it, I'm going to do it.
Right.
That's all I got in this life. I got my word. And so I'm keeping my word. Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes I don't want to do what he tells me to do. God, because we all go through it. But that's how he's able to go, I want you to do this. Like, no, come on, God. I'm not I'd like you to do this. And it might take me some time sometimes, but in the end, this is where I am.
Wow. So from the abuse,
Uh-huh.
the divorce,
Uh-huh.
the accident,
Uh-huh.
what have you learned about ministry?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, because that's the whole point of this podcast,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. The whole point. What I've learned is that God uses every single thing in your life to have you minister. And sometimes I'll say I won't say people want to. I want to go, oh, okay, that's where you want to use me. You want to use me musically on the drums because I got the gift of playing drums. It's like, yeah. But no, I don't want you to be a full-time drummer. That hurt my life too when God told me that. It was just like, what do you mean you don't want me to be a full-time? Because, 17, 18, I can start going on tours now. And it was like, that's not what I want you to do. And it was just like, how could you say that? Because that's what I've been doing since the age of 3. And everybody knows me for that. And here I am, 18 or 19 going, God, if I don't do that, I'll have nothing. I won't be able to do anything if you take that. But I obeyed him and then got into engineering and then started doing, but so that it was just, and following God was instilled in me, train up a child in the way that he will go.
Absolutely. What is your success? What is your true success story? Apart from the 53 interviews,
right?
What is your success story? Like, how do you think that God views you as successful?
My success story, and I don't know if it's gonna sound corny. My success story is continuing to be written. So what I thought was successful before, God's like, oh, you thought that was it. I want you to do this. And it's like, no, wait. I got a studio. And so you blessed me with this studio. And so now I'm going to make this a 6-figure earning studio. No, don't do that. I want you to do this. And it's like, I have no experience in public speaking. Why would you want me to do that? Drums, I know how to do that. Studio, right. I figured out how to, okay, you got me. Here I am. Let's go. And it's like, nah, I want you to do this. And so the success, and understand, I'm just learning this now, that the success is going on the adventure with him. When you can say, all right, let's go. Let's rock. Go ahead. Me and you, God, let's rock. I don't know where you're going, but whatever you get into, I'm there. Let's rock. That's the success. And as soon as we pull ourselves out of that and go, all right, the success is going to be when this podcast turns into a cable show and I'm on the air. And it's like, no. The success is that you're following me through this and you're watching it do amazing things. And I might turn around and go, okay, now I want you to paint a house. Like, I don't know how to paint a house. You're going to do it with me and it's going to be an amazing house. So that's the success. And it's weird because even though I can say it and it's like, yeah, of course that's success, being with God. When you're in it, it's just like, come on. Like, I've spent a lot of time learning my craft. Yeah. And I'm not saying that every time he'll take you out of your craft, because he won't, but sometimes he will. He's just.
It's more than just learning your craft. You spend a lot of time learning yourself. You've been through a lot, T.
Yeah.
And trusting God. And I know this is one thing that he values in you, because I value this in you. You, good, bad, ugly, and different, you are a man of your word. And so God can trust that when you say yes to him, God, I don't know where you're taking me, but I'm going to say yes. He trusts that and he multiplies it. That's beautiful. So I want to ask you, because this has been Words for Life.
Yes.
You mentioned that it's going to be, I believe, in your last interview with Asali. Am I saying her name?
Yes, Asali, yes.
You mentioned that it's going to be, and also here, Words for Leaders?
Yes, Words for Leaders. Oh,
so my question is, what's next? But I really want to know, what is that about? Moving into season 2.
Here's what that's about. So here I am being obedient with God. I'm doing the podcast. I think it's going to be for one reason. understand. Now I realize people are pouring into me, and I'm just like, wow, I'm becoming this, like, I'm learning the lessons that they're talking about. Yes, the people listening are getting it, but it's like I'm getting it firsthand.
Yeah.
And lately, off camera, like I mentioned, people are starting to share that they've gone through these things.
They share on camera, so I can only imagine.
Yeah. So when it gets off camera, it gets real, like, into the nitty gritty. And I'm just like, oh man. And here I am, a person just starting to accept the fact that what I do is ministry. Because I just saw it as, I just do what I do. I play drums. If people get touched by God, that's God doing what he does. I do what I do, God's going to do what he does. Right. All right. You want me to, produce? Fine. They make an amazing record. It's like, Terence, you did that. It's like, hey, I just do me. God does him. And God's the one that blew on it. I can't take, whatever. And it's genuine humility. I can't say because I produced it. So I'm going along just doing what I do. But then it's just like, no, you're in ministry. And it's like, no, not really. Because I don't have a theology degree. I don't do that. It's like, that's not what it takes to be in ministry. And
God qualifies the call.
Yes, he does. And somebody said, it was at a funeral. I was at Pastor Ashmead's funeral. Somebody got up and said that ministry, and this is not the end all be all definition, but it's the definition I remember. Ministry is seeing a need and meeting that need. Seeing a need and meeting that's ministry. That's when you minister. It's not getting
and
up.
You know what, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so you, and you're so right. There's no wrong answer, but for me, if I share, ministry to me is what Christianity is. One beggar telling the other beggar where to get the bread.
Nice.
By using your character, by using your kindness, by using your gifts, your talent. That's really it. There's no hierarchy. I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. Yeah. So I think it's so, and you're doing that. So words for leaders now.
So here's right. So here's where it came in. I'm seeing all of these quote unquote leaders,
right,
from different ministries,
right,
going through, and they can't turn to the average person because it's like, oh, you're Pastor so and so. Oh, you minister to you're Kirk Franklin. You can't have any problem. You have how could you have problems in your ministering? They're just a human following what God said to do. And when they make mistakes, they need support. They need somewhere to go and go, you know what? I'm not the only one that made that mistake. I can also look, here's the keys that somebody didn't give me. Oh, here's these lessons that Martine learned or that Terence learned that it's like, oh, you know what? That's something I can implement. And it will keep them in their ministry. And God put that on my heart and it was a burden. And for a while, recently I was like, okay, I don't have a burden. Like I have things that I do. I produce. And it's like, you got a burden for people? What's your burden? I was like, I ain't got a burden for people. My burden is, did you get a hot project when it comes out? But it wasn't a burden. Now I have a burden. And it's like, I don't want to see people in ministry be left alone. It's not that I don't want to see them make a mistake. I don't want to see them be cast out. And it's not God casting them out. It's other humans casting them out. We can't do that. We can't judge. I don't care what position God allowed them to have. They're still a human being trying to get to the kingdom. So
on a more personal note,
you
can connect with those who've gone through abuse.
Yeah.
You can connect with those who suffered pain from a divorce.
Yeah.
And you could definitely connect with those who are like, God has definitely pulled me. I was facing jail time, a big lawsuit. And I said, God, I'm done. I surrender. Because at some point in your Christian walk, you got to go like this. You got to surrender.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's another that's like a deeper form of ministry.
I'm now seeing that. So, and that's why I said, I'm going to be walking this out week by week. I mean, we're going to take a month off. September is when we're going to start Words for Leaders. And it's I'm excited to see what God's going to do with that.
I'm excited for you. I have one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
There is always our deepest desire as Christians is, of course, making it to heaven.
Yes.
But we also have a desire to see those we love make it to heaven.
Yes.
If God said, all right, I'm sure it's gonna be bigger than that, but God said, I'm gonna give you one person. Who do you want to see in heaven besides me, Jesus Christ?
Oh man.
Who do you wish to see in heaven?
Man. All right. So see, do you understand what you're asking here? Right?
I mean,
you understand what you're asking, because of course, if I don't say my wife, then I'm a bad person. But I'm gonna say it like this. Let me say this. Let me say this.
Of course, but that makes sense. Your wife, your son.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say, out of the people that I have a question whether they're gonna make it in or not.
Yes.
Out of those,
that's what I'm really asking.
Yeah. Out of the people that I have a question whether they're gonna make it in, I'd like to see, and I'd like to see my dad. I'd like to see my dad in heaven.
Me too. I want to meet him.
I
really do.
I would, because it's. I can now go, man. I have no idea what you went through, like what you really went through.
Right.
No idea.
But God died for that.
Yeah, He did.
The Bible says, He came to set the captives free. Like I'm saying, like we are on some judge, and we don't know the heart or the mind. God knows the full story.
Yeah.
As much as you know about him, God knows the full story.
Mm-hmm.
And my father always says, you know what? At the end of the day, it's God's heaven. He saves who he saves.
It's true. It's true.
You know, so we're thinking, oh no, the And God, I believe that God saves people not only for them, but for the people who come with them. Mm-hmm. And so you're a part of your Father's journey.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
See, this has been
this is
amazing. But I gotta say this.
Go ahead.
I thank you. Listen, because you've had 53 interviews. Thank you. I'm so honored that you chose me to interview you. We've always had these vulnerable conversations, but thank you. You're very bold and brave. I tell you this, I don't know if you know that you're brave to tell your story as a Black man, with all that comes with that, to be vulnerable, to tell your story. But on a personal note, you've always poured into me and other people. No one would ever know what you've gone through. You're always so smiley and so happy and so that's awesome. And, not to say too much, we all experience church hurt because hurt people hurt. And it doesn't mean that they mean to hurt you.
Right.
You are one of those people who always encourage me, listen, at the end of the day, just do what God has called you to do.
Yeah.
And let him take care of the rest. I thank you. And I'm excited for season 2. Words for leaders, let's go.
Let's do it.
I mean, any last words?
I listen, anybody that's struggling with what God has asked them to do, just humble yourself and embrace the fact that it's going to be an adventure with God, and he will not leave you out there twisting in the wind. He will not. He won't let you leave you twisted in the wind. I want to end with this saying that I really hope that something that we've said here inspires you or moves you to follow God like that. I pray that he uses something that we said to speak to you directly. And that's all I got to say.